All right, so Mr. Derrick Gibson, thank you so much for coming on. And we're talking off camera about the start of the book, and we got a mutual acquaintance, a really good friend of yours that I saw was giving you a shout out on social media. I'm like, we got somebody in this town that wrote a sales book, and I haven't heard of it yet. I can't tell you how much money I've spent over my 18 years in real estate of trying to, better myself through education and looking at, sales material. And your book spoke to me because the title of it is The Non-Selling Seller, because I don't look at myself as someone that's going out trying to hard sell anybody on anything. It's, if anything, this is a relationship business for me.
It is.
And reading your book basically spoke to me in a couple different ways. Way number one is that I think you oversimplified your simplification, saying that this is a very simplified sales 101. To me, I look at it as more of a very practical approach to sales 101. It's kind of like the layman's terms of it. And there's some things in there that I want to really kind of drill in on when we get to it. But as I was preparing for this podcast, I started going through, I've got the ebook version, and thank you for giving me the hard copy of one. But going through the ebook, I was like, man, I want to talk about this. I want to talk about this. I want to talk about this. I'm like,
wow,
dude, I'm going to be reading his whole book to the audience. So I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to read the whole book to them because I want people to go out there and buy it. For anyone, and I'm just going to say this right off the top, for anyone that is in sales, number one, you got to read it. For me, when I read this book, when you dive into the sales techniques and you can go really deep with stuff on, what body language and mirror and matching and all that stuff, but none of that advanced stuff will ever come close to helping you if you don't truly understand the fundamentals of what we're here to do. And I think that's where your book actually excels over a lot of stuff that I've read in the past, even just getting started. And I want to push it one step further. This selling, non-selling, or seller book has so many applications that people can use in their day-to-day life, whether they have no sales function in their job or not. It's about enhancing your ability to not only communicate better, to change your perspective on the people that are in your circle you're dealing with. So this book to me is a practical guide of just how to be better at what you do on a day-to-day basis. I mean, do you think I'm off base with that at all?
I'm actually shocked. I never heard anybody talk about it like that besides my wife.
Well,
So
I mean, it's
I'm honored. I promise you, I am. I really am.
so, I'm not saying this just to throw bluster out there. I truly believe you got something here that is, in your eyes, you may think of it as being extremely basic, but man, there's advanced stuff in here. And there's one thing that I'm going to get into. It's one of the hardest sales things to understand, but I'm going to wait on that. I want to get into it in a little bit. So why don't you bring us back to, I want to talk about what experiences got you to the point to where you wanted to put pen to paper on this. And I guess to clarify a little bit more is that it wasn't just one experience that you went through to get you to this point. There had to be a growth phase from going from A to Z. I want to talk about that B and C part.
Okay.
Tell me a little bit of what kind of got you started down this path.
Can I thank you first and foremost?
Yeah, sure.
I want to thank you. I want to thank Alex. I truly thank y'all. I'm telling you, I'm honored. I never thought in a million years that I would even be sitting here. I just wanted to write something to help people. And if you look on my hashtag under any post, I just put on there hashtag I'm only here to help. And that was my main motive, was to help people that I worked with, help people around me, and things that I applied in my life that people sold into me, that I want to be to sow into other people. And that's what that book came about, was just helping people. And just to break down the background of how it was created, I was on vacation for 3.5 weeks. And I worked for a long time. I had a bunch of time. And I told my kids, because I'm the father of four wonderful kids. Yeah, four wonderful kids. So I told my kids, I said, you know what? I'm a father that I don't just like to talk about things. I like to show my kids I am who I say I am. My wife was like, "You should write a book." I said, "Kids, I'm gonna write a book." And they was out on Christmas break, and I went to
What year was this?
this was in 2022.
Okay.
2022, December of 2022. And I was like, "Kids, your dad gonna write a book." And they was like, "For real?" I said, "Yeah." So every morning I wanted to show them my work ethic, because they see me work all the time. But I got up every day that I was on vacation, and I sat at my kitchen table where they eat breakfast. I sat there for 8 hours a day, like I was working a job. And I sat there nonstop. I take a 30-minute lunch. I'll go back to work, use the restroom, get something to drink, and I'll sit there all day to show my kids that I'm so dedicated to what I'm doing that I wanted them to read it. So, and they all didn't read it, but I wanted, that was a part of my motivation. And I wanted to help people that I worked with on a day-to-day basis. So going back to, after thanking you, but from my B to my B to D moment, is that it's through my sales. And it started off as a little kid that I saw interest in providing something for someone that they found value in. And I wanted to be that in between, that provider between them and where they wanted to go. And I've had, man, I say a lot, but I've had many different aspects of being in retail, being selling to mid large businesses, having my own business and working with people, having people work for me, and I've worked for people. And it was just a whole collaboration of all those experiences with different companies and us. And my wife is a entrepreneur in the local Monroe area right now. She has her own
Okay.
business. So
What does your wife do?
she's an esthetician.
What is that?
I didn't know either at first. She waxes, body sculpting,
Okay.
facials. She
Okay.
do all that.
Awesome.
And she been doing that for like 3 years, 3.5 years now.
Awesome.
So it started from all those experiences. And I'm a local guy, as you know. I graduated from Grambling and in business management. Their current president, we was in school together. So
Fantastic.
yeah, and I just took all those experiences and I put them all together, and that's what happened with the non-selling seller.
So you started putting this program together, and we spoke off camera that you had one of your supervisors reach out to you
Yes.
to walk me down. So let's back up just a little bit. So you had list some of the types of selling jobs you've had
Okay.
to right now. You don't have to necessarily give companies, but what type of stuff were you selling? What was your role and things of that nature?
All right. I started off. This would be funny. My first selling thing was candy. I started
Candy.
off with candy. Started
Okay.
out selling candy on my own as a little kid, and then from there I went to selling retail. I worked in a company where we're selling retail products. I've done multiple multi-level marketing. I learned a lot from that MLM sector, and I've sold chips. I sold chips, crackers, cookies. So I worked for a huge chip company.
So you've really got to see a lot of different aspects from selling the smalls to selling programs to selling bigger things.
Absolutely.
So in that process, one of the things that I have found to be true when it comes to sales is that there's a commonality. It doesn't really matter the thing that you're selling, but there is in your book defines it, there is a commonality through the whole sales process that can be applicable. I don't care if you're selling cars, you're selling houses, you're selling candy to kids at the schoolyard. They're the same principles and philosophies still apply.
I agree. And it's people. It's people. It's listening to people and understanding people, asking open-ended questions and getting people to talk to you. So it's always been that I'm trying to meet your need.
Yeah.
I'm meeting your need as the individual, and I want to meet your need based on the information that you're giving me. And I like to take their information and be like, okay, now I have what I need from you. Now I can meet your need wholly, instead of me trying to do all those sales tactics,
Instead
scare
of you
tactics.
trying to sell them something.
Sell them because I'm a non-seller.
Yeah.
I'm a non-seller.
And I think sometimes people will confuse the sales approach from a service angle to I'm just going to be a doormat for people, and that's not it at all. I think that your book clearly explains that we don't know how to help you until we know what your need is.
Absolutely.
When we know what your need is, then we're going to start problem solving to figure out how to fix your need. And you may not be the right person at the right time for them for that need, but you're still going to go through that process because you don't know until you ask the questions, right?
Absolutely.
You can't tell somebody what they want if that's not what they really want, but you can help them discover what they want through questions. When going through the book here, you start with who am I?
Yes.
And part of that exercise, and I don't use this word lightly, just blew me away from, there's a part in it, and I'll get to it in just a second, that kneecaps many salespeople. But one of the things that you put out there, and it was an aha moment, that our youth is so desperately lacking, and that's soft skills.
Mm-hmm.
Parents, I'm telling you, if you want to give your kid a competitive edge in the market today, teach them how to make eye contact.
Absolutely.
Teach them how to carry a conversation. Teach them how to listen to a conversation and to be able to give some feedback. Our youth now are losing the soft skills they desperately need. But you want to give a kid a competitive edge, you focus on soft skills. But that's not the big thing. The big thing for me was determining your why.
Yeah.
When in Sales 101, especially when you're in a full commission job.
Been there.
And which I'm there right now. And it's got a lot of great perks to it. But when you got economic issues pop up that nobody control, it's got some downturns to it.
Yeah.
But for a salesperson getting started, you can have the best relationship skills that are out there. But if you don't know what your why is, you're not going to have that drive to get up every day and to be your boss and to know what needs to be done and to service people at a level. When I've walked people through trying to help them determine their why, people tend to automatically think that my why is financial. My why is time saving. But when you see someone truly discover their why, and you have an exercise that you walk them through on that, and it may sound very simple to you, but as a human or me as a man, I'll just take it on myself. We try to overcomplicate things so much, but when you truly determine what your why is, it will propel you so far that you won't have to have a boss that is standing behind you, pushing you, holding you accountable. Yeah. And you talk about those things in there, but sitting down and truly determining your why was one of the most impactful things that there's a lot of other great stuff, but one of the most impactful things that I got out of your book, because for so many people, it's hard. Nobody typically wants to look inside and say, what is really driving me?
Absolutely.
Is it my kids? Is it my wife? Is it my church? Is it the new vehicle I want? Is it that vacation? Is it the yacht? Is it the private jet? And for everybody, it's going to be different.
Yeah.
But for so many people, that is the hardest thing for them truly to find out what their why is. Because I think once you determine that, everything else becomes easier. Not easy, but easier, because now we have purpose of what's driving us. Tell me about some of your experiences in walking people through that path to determine your why. Do you think I'm kind of overblowing that a little bit on the why?
No, I think that's excellent, because at the beginning of the book, once you establish who you are, you got to find out, why am I doing this? Because that gives you something to refer back to when you're in tough times.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, and like I like to establish or at least I tell them to establish whys in the time of calm. So when the storm come, they have something to refer back to. So that gives them that foundation, that extra motivational push. When I can't look to anything else, I can look to why I wake up every morning. Why do I go out and I go get up and go to work every day? Why am I trying to achieve the next level in my life? So you got to have something wrote down that you can look at and
Yeah.
that you can always see, and that you can that helps build your vision
It's that
for your life.
cornerstone. It's the
It
it's the
does.
thing that, like you said, when things are not going right, it's that one thing we can come back to in center that's continuing to push us forward because it's the true why. But for so many people, and even for myself, years ago, I mean, I know what my why is,
Mhm.
but if I had your book back then, it probably would have helped me reach it a lot sooner. And again, I don't want to oversimplify the process, but what you've done here is I think you've recentered the foundation for Sales 101. I think you've given it lay terms. It's not something, it's not a complicated process. I mean,
Mhm.
you've got steps laid out that if you're guaranteed to succeed, I know you're not going to put that guarantee on your book, but I mean, somebody would be foolish or just a complete idiot not to succeed if they followed all those steps. But the most impactful thing is determine your why, because for so many people, that internal look
Yes.
is so difficult.
No, I agree. I agree 100%.
There was a quote. Let me see if I can find it here that you put in the book that spoke to me. A wise man once told me it's not always about the best sales numbers and the highest commission. He said it's about becoming the most consistent professional the company has ever known. When I got my real estate license, there was going through the school, there was a teacher there, and I'm probably have added to the things that he said, but I believe what I'm saying to be accurate. He says 2 ways to make money in real estate.
Mhm.
You sell real estate or you sell things to real estate agents. I say that to say this. There are 1,000, maybe even 1,000,000 ways to make money in sales.
Mhm.
But if you want consistent growth, you got to be consistent. You got to have a
Absolutely.
plan and you have to stick to it. Someone was asking me the other day, they wanted to try a new marketing strategy. And they say, do you think it'll work? I said, well, the idea sounds good. It sounds principles, but you won't know until you give it the time to see if it'll work. Well, how long should I give it? This episode is possible because of my real estate business. Do you need help selling your home in the near future? Let's connect. I'm going to say for what you're talking about, I would say 6 months to a year to see they're doing some type of direct mail marketing.
Okay.
So 6 months to a year before you know if it's really going to work.
Mhm.
Well, that's X number of dollars that it's going to cost me to do that. I'm like, if you're going to, anything that you try, if you're just going to toss it out like spaghetti to see if it sticks to the wall, you're going to be wasting an awful lot of money. You have to
I
be
agree.
consistent in anything you do. There's a million ways to accomplish something, but especially in sales, I mean, really anything in life that you do, if you want good professional growth, you have to be consistent.
I agree. I agree.
So tell me about some of that consistency that you have seen or where people you think falter when it comes to trying to be consistent in their activities.
With consistency, and I tell, and I could use this, and I know she'll listen to it. My daughter, my oldest daughter, and she was in high school, and she was like, "Daddy, I think I know what I want to do." I said, "What do you want to do?" She said, "I want to be a doctor." I said, "Really?" I said, "So first of all, let's count the cost." She said, "What's the cost?" I said, "Well, you willing to go to school and put everything else on hold, the party and the fun, and you could still have some here and there for 10 plus years, and consistently learning, educating, and putting yourself, personal things you like aside to accomplish that goal?" She was like, "Let me get back to you." She came back to me 2 weeks. She was like, "I think I can do it." I said, "Okay." And I said, it's about being consistent. And I said, we got to consistently, the most important thing about consistent is doing the small things that you did one time. You got to do it over and over and over and over again to make sure that we can get a real evaluation of the process, like you was
Yep.
talking about with the marketing, so you can know what you have to adjust. And sometimes the timing would throw people off.
Sure.
They want it done in, we got microwave age. They want it done I need it done in 2 weeks. I need to
that's right.
I need to be super successful tomorrow. But it takes time, and through the process, you build through the process. And that's what I love about consistency, is that now when I tell you something works, it's not because I've done it 2 weeks. No, this is tried, tested, and error, and worked around, and I turned this screw again and re-managed it or reworked it. And now I know I've got something that consistently worked, and I have the background and I have the numbers or the results that can prove it. But that's my biggest thing with being consistent, is how often can you do it over and over and over, and do the same thing over and over and over. You may want to add to it, adjust it, but time.
That's it.
But you
Got to put the work
time in. Yeah. And to end my daughter's story, she on year 8. She on year 8 of 10.
Man, that's amazing.
Right now. And she knows
when did she make that decision? When this conversation, when you reflect back, how old do you think she was?
16.
16.
16 going on 17.
Wow.
And she committed she said, I'm gonna do 10 years. And she working on PhD. She finishing a master, going to a PhD.
Good for her.
Yeah.
Good for her. In sales, we all call it a lot of different things, but you call it the fear of failure. The fear of failure has so many people sitting at the starting line that will never leave because they're too afraid to fail.
Absolutely.
How do you get someone past that?
First, they gotta understand that wasn't my ending point. That's it's many stages to a process. It's the beginning, it's the middle stage of a process, and it's the end of a process. So when we try something and we fail, it's not the end. We're in the middle.
Love it.
So we have to establish where we are. So if I tried a trucking company and man, I went out and drove trucks and it didn't work. No, I'm still in because my end goal, my why, haven't evaporated. It hadn't ended. So I'm still in the middle of my process. And me being in the middle of the process, that lets me know that I need to take away some things from what I've done wrong, because I've had a business before, multiple businesses, and I wasn't as successful I wanted to be, but in the process, I learned something from it that I can build off of. And also I learned what I shouldn't do in the future. So you have to understand that failure is not the end. It's about being in the process, because if we don't try, that's failure in it. Now that's the ultimate failure.
That is the ultimate failure. To me, I look at failure a couple of different ways. Number one, I don't say that I failed until I quit. When I quit, I have failed at that point. But what others look at failure, to me, I look at as an education. Mm-hmm. Sometimes education gets really expensive because failure can be costly, not only time, but it can be financial.
Yes.
Failures that happen during the process. But if you learn something from it, was that failure not worth it? Now, that failure wasn't worth it if you're going to repeat it time and time again. I don't know who said it. I think I learned it when I was working at Keller Williams, and one of the maybe the owner of that company would say you have to fail forward.
I like that.
Failing forward, I mean, it happens. It hurts. It stings. But I look at it myself that if I'm still in a forward progression with it, it's cost. It's cost of business sometimes. You don't know until you try. But failure for me doesn't occur until I quit. If I quit, I have failed at that point, and I don't fail a lot.
I'm with you.
Moving off of the failure, talked about me being solution-oriented in sales.
Okay. Seeing a problem and then immediately, it's not, let's try to find a solution, even if we don't have one. Because, problems are exactly what they are, problems. And I look at so many different things around this world. Apple made an iPhone. Mm-hmm. And they eventually found out that, hey, the screens broke. They break, they crack. Mm-hmm. So guess what somebody did? They came up with a solution.
Yep.
So whenever we see problems, even in work, if I got a problem, I'm not making sales. So let me reevaluate my strategy. What am I doing that's working? What am I doing that's not working? And let me try to magnify some of those things that's working, and those things that's not working, let me try to revamp those, or let me try to get better in an area so I can show improvement. Because solution based and being, and I subtitle my book is that and I didn't put it on this one, but I've made more. I've printed more with the subtitle on it that is for personal and professional growth. So when not only are we solution based, and I've noticed this a lot, I've done it before. I can be super solution based at work, but when I get home, I'm not as solution based in the same area. And it takes have a complete circle that I want to have solutions that I can, or problems that I have solutions to, or try to find solutions to throughout every area of my life. So when I'm at work and I'm like, hey, Derrick, how can we do this and this and this? Let's listen to the problem, and let's sit back, and before we make a knee-jerk reaction, let's sit back and think about it and what's the best steps to come up with the solution to the problem.
Yeah, let's dig into that a little bit,
Okay.
because when it comes to being solution oriented, how much do you feel, or how much does it matter for you to listen more than you talk when you're working with a customer?
I think listening, when you're working with a customer, it's about 90% of the process, because I want to listen to everything they have to say, and I want to take great notes. And before I could come up with anything, I want to make sure that they have everything that they're looking for, or any problems that they have. I want it all laid out on the table. And like, I want to make sure that we're clear. And I want to ask questions about their problems to make sure that I have not only notes, but I have sub notes and what I can help them in, or what can I do for them in the entire process.
So what would happen if you started trying to give a solution before you truly understood what their problem was?
You,
Even if the end results are you've got 3 products you're trying to sell, and 2 of these products probably would fix them, the other one not going to worry.
Mhm.
What happens when you're trying to sell that product and you haven't even, and you know that here's what they need, but you haven't even listened to what their problem is?
That's one of the important parts. You have to listen to people. And when I'm totally listening to you, I'm totally engaged. But when I'm all right, I got a solution for your issue, and I cut off my listening process, and I could miss something in the process if I completely trying to present a solution to a problem that I haven't even heard the full of. And I want to recap. I want to make sure that we have this problem here. Let's discuss. You had this problem also. Let's make sure that I'm getting everything that you're saying. So I'm big on let's recap. Let's recap. Let's make
So
sure.
you want them to understand that you clearly understand what their problem is, or what need they truly have before you even make that pitch to them on a product or a service that you have.
Absolutely, absolutely. Because it's about make sure that I have the right match to the issue. If I don't have it, I need to do some research or try to find it. But I want them clear that I'm clear, that I know exactly what they're expressing.
How important is the relationship in the sales process?
It's very, very, very important, because I want you to feel in our relationship that you have my sole attention, that I'm completely locked in on you, and I want you to know that you're valuable to me. And one thing,
Why? Why do you
because
want that?
because I want them to know, no matter how big or how small, I value you as a person. That it don't matter if you had $1,000,000 or $1, everybody is going to get the same value. They're going to have the same weight in my book. And I don't look at you as a number. I look at you as, have I helped you? So it's about me helping people. And the sales process, I think we have it kind of mixed up at times. It's about us helping people. And when we go out with a helping people mind frame, we'll be able to uncover things. We'll be able to build relationships, because people can feel when I'm just a number to you. Hey, you just gonna push me through because I'm not moving, I'm not making a decision fast enough, and you're not really trying to see who I am or what I need or trying to accomplish or meet my problem.
Tell you that for many years in my early career, I was known as a grinder. I mean, I'd get out there and I'd grind, and I always felt I've always tried to live my life in a very honorable way.
Mhm.
But early in the sales process, I I didn't have anyone to shepherd me through or to mentor me. It's like I got to provide for my family, so I'm going to get out and grind. I'm doing my best to take care of people at the same time, but I did not focus on that relationship at that point. And let me tell you where it hurt me. My people felt great when we were going through the process,
Mm-hmm.
but because I didn't do a good job of establishing that relationship, I would love them and leave them at that point.
Okay.
So my repeat business just wasn't happening because I was forgettable. I didn't have a connection. I didn't have a relationship. They felt fine with the service that I delivered, but without that relationship, it did not set me up for long-term success.
Oh, yeah.
Because I focused on, I got to get the numbers, instead of, I'm going to pour myself into you and I'm going to help you the best that I possibly can. And I'm not going to worry about those numbers. Because if I do a good enough job here, I'm going to create such a raving fan that the numbers are sure to follow at that point. Because not only are you going to come back to me for business, but you're going to tell your friends and your family.
He's marketing for you.
That's it. Because Brian is doing an excellent job. I know he's got to feed his family, but he cares about me and my financial future through this purchase or through this sale, whatever the case may be. And there was a lot of early mistakes in that. And I don't think I did an injustice to my customers by the way that I handled business, but I didn't give them everything that I could have given them. And they didn't give me everything they could have given me because I was not investing in that time. And I have learned later in my career than what I probably should have, but I'm there now. That relationship, when it comes to sales, I'm in a relationship business.
You are.
I'm not in a sales business anymore. I'm in a relationship business. And I think for too many people miss that opportunity. And I think it's very relatable even into the workplace. If you're not in sales, if you start looking at your job, you're in that relationship business. And that relationship could be to the coworker in the next cubicle that has no impact on your job, but making that person feel good about what they do on a daily basis, it's just going to make the whole environment that much better. So your point on relationships is when you go into the book with it is spot on. It's like right there in the middle of that book, it's like the heart of what you have in that. I don't know if you planned it that way, but if you go back and look, that relationship, it's in multiple places, but it's right at the heart of the book that you wrote. And I really connected to that.
Oh, I appreciate it. I'm telling you, I'm still in amazement.
I think you truly have sold yourself a little short on what you did
I'm just in
here.
amazement. I really am.
So when we move past the relationship, something else that you talk about is working on your strengths and weaknesses.
Absolutely.
I've always heard, and the day you stop learning is the day you stop going downhill with it. And you break it down a little bit differently because you focus on the both. And I've never really thought about it like that, and it's kind of how I implement. But I really like how you broke down on your weaknesses and your strength. Give us a little bit of an insight into that.
Because what I've learned over the years is that the mind can keep on growing and you can keep on experiencing more. And you have to identify in the learning process some things that you may not be as strong in. And we have to be truly honest with ourselves. Sometimes we can fluff ourselves up and be like, hey, I'm really great here, but you may be really weak there. And if you're not truly honest with yourself and writing down those things and being like, hey, even areas I can improve in, and from any aspect of my life, professionally, personally, these are the areas I can improve in. And then even my strengths that I need to get stronger. Because when our strengths stop getting stronger, they turn into weaknesses.
They do. They definitely do.
Yeah.
I tell my wife, so she has a real estate license also, and so much that she does behind the scenes that supports our family business that most don't get to see. But when we talk about, I got in the business in 2006. That's just around the time where most real estate agents were into cell phones or getting out of the beeper age.
Wow.
We were slowly getting away from the digital cameras that took the 3.5-inch floppy disk. And I can still remember my first year, probably, I don't know, maybe half of the agents that I was in day-to-day contact with, like email, I ain't going to do that kind of stuff.
Wow.
And we laugh about that kind of stuff, but whether it's technology, whether it's enhancing relationships with people or communicating with them in a different way, if we stop learning, and I think communication is a key to our success, but the day we stop learning is the day we're going to get left behind.
I agree.
And I don't care how long you are, where you're at in your career, you could be all the way at the top. You still have weaknesses, and
Yes.
those weaknesses need to be enhanced
Mm-hmm.
because you won't ever get any better unless you try. And Lord knows that I probably have my share of faults that some I've improved on, and some probably need to be a lot more improved. But it's that constant education. It's not that you have to go and take college courses to continue with it, but it's finding books like yours that are going to re-inspire you on getting that foundation that's re-centered. And that's what I'm looking at your book as. It is a solid foundation that somebody can rebuild on. Sometimes it's really good to tear a house back down to its foundation and rebuild. Sometimes you have to be able to do that. I'm not tearing my house down, but I am shoring up some of my foundations in some areas.
Oh, man, that's awesome.
So it's done a world for me. So when we look at page 28.
Okay.
And this one's going to be hard for a lot of people, but I feel everything you're saying. Be grateful for all outcomes.
Yes. Yes.
You mean we need to be grateful for that sale that we were right at the tip and it fell apart right in our face? We need to be grateful for that.
I'm gonna tell you, I done been there before. I know that feeling. You're like, I'm right at the edge, and then you don't close, or they pull back, and it's that it's a learning opportunity that opposition comes in your life, and if it's about how you handle it.
But even that time where you just get backhanded right in front of your peers, and it's just like you're like, I was fixing to
Close.
cross that line, and
Big sale.
I got backhanded on this, and I just don't even know how to respond. You're saying we need to be grateful for those two?
Absolutely, because those help build character.
Mm.
Those help you grow. And even though you didn't make it, it's those things where you got to look back on. I know I didn't make it at that time, but it wasn't wasted, because like we talked about earlier, I've learned something out of that process. And maybe it wasn't just the right time for the customer. Or maybe that I might have missed something I didn't turn over something that needed to be, or uncover something that needed to be uncovered. But just to have the process to be able to walk with someone that long and help them, I've learned something from them, and we can take something that we've learned in that process and apply it in another area. Because like we talked about, failing forward. So we can take some from it and we can apply it to another area. And if we identify some of those indicators again, we can apply what we've learned, and then we can help that deal or whatever we're trying to do cross that finish line successfully.
Negative feedback from a customer.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to know it?
Absolutely. I want to know where I missed it at, so I won't miss it again. And all great coaches, they let you know what you do wrong. So when it comes time where you got to do it right, they've had an opportunity in the past to show you that, hey, you're missing it here. So now when it comes time where we need you, you won't have those same mistakes. So I need them to tell me where I missed it at, because I want to improve. I need to improve so I can be better for the next person.
What do you say to that person that doesn't see it your way, that I've got it figured out, they're stupid, they should have done whatever, it's their fault?
Yeah.
You talk about personal accountability in this book, and I think that personal accountability for the ones who fail, they try sales and they have to get out of it.
Mm-hmm.
How many times do you see personal accountability the reason that someone is failing?
I want to say 90, but I'm going to give it about 70, because when you take it on personally, when you say it's me, when you raise your hand, hey, it's me, that something I can change or something that I need to learn, it's tough to say to a lot of people that it's you. You look in the mirror, because it's easy to find a reason and point the finger that someone else didn't give me the right tools, or I didn't have the computer, or I didn't know the product like I should, instead of taking what I know and owning it. and being the best and growing from that. Because we've been in sales for a while. You'll never know everything.
Correct.
And that's
Correct.
why we constantly learn. I don't know why we're sitting here, because we're constantly learning and constantly uncovering things. But when we say, I don't know it all and I might have messed it up, then we can go back with a different attitude instead of saying it was them. And that leads to people not quitting as much.
Yeah. And I think that your book does a really good job of you don't put it in the book, but if I was using your book as a coaching tool to a new sales associate saying, look, you need to determine I got a quick way to determine if sales is going to be right for you. I want you to read this book, and then I'm going to come back to you, and I'm going to say, can you commit to do everything in this book and be held accountable to it? And if the answer is yes, I think sales is going to be good for you.
They can make it.
But if the answer is no, I don't even think they should try. I don't think they should try at all, because if you can't be committed, because this is solid foundational stuff, I think it's a good test for people. Are you gonna succeed or not? Now you could have that lone wolf that comes out and says, you know what, halfway through it, I think I can make it happen. I'm gonna persevere. But your book does a great job at setting that stage of what it really takes to be able to win. And if you can't commit to learning, if you can't commit to being accountable, if you can't really sit down and go 7 levels deep on your why, because that's truly where it has to come from, because it's that first thing that pops in your mind. I guarantee it's probably not going to be what your true why is. To understand what your true why is, it takes some reflection, some self-reflection to really figure that out, because we want to hit the surface level. I'll tell new agents all the time, when you're dealing with a customer, you want them to drop that guard they have up as quickly as possible, because we know we can truly help them as soon as that guard comes down. It's like one of the ways I explain that is that if you're in the I don't ever go shopping anymore. Malls and me, it just gives me anxiety. But if I was at a department store or even shopping for a vehicle, when a salesperson comes up to us, we get no, I'm just looking. I'm just looking.
Immediately.
Well, truth be told, I'm on that lot for a reason. I'm looking for a reason. And if I would just drop my guard and truly tell that individual what I'm looking for and how they could help me, I mean, we probably could get down the road a little bit further. But it's hard to get there until you truly understand what your purpose is and how you communicate with people effectively. So let's talk about communication.
Okay.
I know I'm kind of going a little bit back and forth, but that's a piece that I missed that you spend a little bit of time on. Talk to me how communication affects the sales process.
It's very one major key of communication, and we talked about it earlier, is listening, because I want to make sure I'm completely understanding what's going on before I give my words. And my words can mean more because I completely understand, and having clarity in my communication. Definitely, I don't want anybody I'm dealing with to have questions. And I'd rather over communicate than under communicate.
But how do you get that customer to the point to where they're going to give you the information you need to best help them? Everybody still has that guard up. That guard is still going to be there until you hit that relationship level with them to where you can start seeing that guard come down. And it doesn't come down all at one time.
We won't do it.
It's a process. But what would you say to that salesperson that's struggling in that way, that maybe new into the career? How can they achieve, because they truly want to help somebody, but they don't know how to get the proper communication so that guard drops low enough so they can truly find out how I can truly help you?
I like open-ended questions, asking a lot of open-ended questions.
What is your favorite open-ended question?
I got plenty of different situations. I like
because you go into some objective handling in the book, which I don't want to get into. People, guys, I'm telling you, got to read it. I don't want to give you all this good stuff.
But one of my favorite open-ended questions is, so what brings you here today? When we understand what makes someone call you or take one foot on that lot or touch an item, what brings you to this item?
What if they ask you a question you can't answer?
Oh, that was good. I like questions I can't answer. So that leaves me with, that is a great question. Let me find the answer to you so I can get back to you. Now, we got to interact again.
Mm.
Even if you leave now, I'm coming back to you.
How many people, when you give them that response, they just get upset? I'm done with you. He doesn't know my information. He doesn't know anything. I'm just not going to do business with him. How many times have you had people shut you down on that?
I had a couple of times.
But probably very few, right?
Yeah, because they like you to be honest.
Yeah.
That's one thing about people. You don't want to give them stuff that's not true. I'd rather not give you the answer than give you the wrong answer and it be wrong. Now you're looking at my credibility.
But then what happens when you say you're going to call them back and you don't?
Oh, now you broke another line.
Mm.
Now I don't trust you. I already didn't trust you from the beginning. Now you give me more reason not to trust you. So follow up, and I talk about follow up is so major. Make sure your yeses be your yes, your no be your no's. And if I'm gonna call you Wednesday at 3:00, call them at 2:50 and let them know that, hey, you're so valuable to me that I have time carved out for you, and I want to make sure that I'm meeting my end of the bargain, even if you're busy. So now I want to talk about, hey, when will be a good time? Is 2:00 a good time for you? Is 3:00 a good time for you on Wednesday? And now I'm kind of moving the ball now. I'm setting the times. Either you can do 2 or 3:00 on Wednesday. How does that sound to you? And they be like, oh yeah, 2:00 will be good. Even though I kind of set the parameters
Sure.
in the conversation.
So can I tell you my 2 secret weapons in real estate?
Give them to me.
Here's my 2 secret weapons. I answer the phone.
That's important.
And I return calls.
Hey,
when I got into real estate, I came from, I didn't have any sales experience whatsoever. I mean, it was totally, God pushing me in this direction, because looking at me on paper, I should not be been in real estate this long. I mean, it's my personality type, and you go through all those tests and things. But I asked a question early in the business. What is the thing that people complain about real estate agents the most? What is the biggest problem they have? They don't answer the phone. They don't return calls. I said, I got both of those. I can do that. If that's the only 2 things that the biggest 2 complaints, I said, I'm going to win. So I use that to help propel me, because I answer my phone. As long as I'm not with a customer, I'm going to answer that phone. Or if they leave a message, I'm going to return that call. And, communication is so important in sales, so that you're giving people, and I call it, I'm a master at setting people's expectations. I need my expectations set. You can tell me, Alex will tell you that, I mean, I can come up with a lot of projects, and to the point to where his plate gets overloaded. And I'm telling him, I said, Alex, even though I said I need it done by noon today, if you set my expectation, it ain't going to happen at noon today. And there's logic behind it. We're going to be good. I just need my expectation. And I try to do that with my customers. Let them know the hours that I work. And I just set expectations. And you would be amazed what people will do with you and for you if you just communicate what needs to happen and when it needs to happen.
I agree.
It's almost like I keep telling you, you've undersold this book, but it's like this the book that you've put together is just a layman's foundation of what it takes to be successful in sales. I'm going to wrap it up with this.
Okay.
What advice would you give to someone that's looking to get into sales? And really, I mean, when we talk about sales, it's a wide thing.
It is.
We could be selling 50-cent widgets all the way up to $1 million piece of medical equipment.
Yeah.
Sales is sales.
I agree.
You can apply pretty much the same principles. The principles all apply. The techniques may vary. The communication may vary, but the principle's still there. What would you tell someone that is thinking about getting into sales?
Do it, and go head first into it, because I've learned so many life lessons through sales. I've had so many ups and downs, and met so many great people. the relationships I built through people, through sales, has been tremendous. And the thing about sales is that it's no 2 days the same.
Yeah.
It changes every single day. It keeps you on your toes. And guess what? It's guaranteed eventually to let you down, but it'll give you a chance to come back. So any young new seller, I tell them, man, go for it. Go for it because it's endless. I see sales as you can continuously grow in sales. You can grow as a person. You can grow in whatever industry you're in. You can be super successful. You can make a lot of money. You can meet a lot of people. And then you can gain great relationships through interacting with people. And the difference, what I see now is that when you get an opportunity now, because we're doing so much social media, when you get to really interact with people and you find out how great they are, take value in every person you meet.
100%.
Because, man, I go to Chick-fil-A and they be like, it's my pleasure. And I at least feel like they want me to be there. But when you meet great people and you meet people around you and you build those relationships and you can network, you can grow like none other in the area of sales. And that's why I enjoy it so much. I truly enjoy it.
To me, being in sales, if you're good at it, you'll never be unemployed.
Never.
If you're good at it, you will have people fighting to have you come work for them. If you're good at it, you can do it for yourself.
Yes, you can.
If you're good at it, you can write a paycheck as large as you want it to be because it's truly unlimited. But everything comes with a cost.
It does.
I love how you kind of ended. It's all about the relationships.
It is.
For me, I love networking with my peers. I like to say there's enough whatever it is to go around for all of us. I just want the professionals that are in my arena to be the best professionals they can be because it makes my job easier when I'm working with a bunch of other professionals within their job. So I'm not going to say your book is great anymore, but I am going to say what you have done here, I think more people need to know about. You can never spend too much time making sure your foundation is solid.
I agree.
A solid foundation can propel you further than you ever thought you could go. Mm-hmm. And I truly believe that more people need to spend. It's an easy read.
It is.
I'm gonna fess up to you. I am not a reader. I don't like reading books. I love audiobooks. So if I can go through this book quickly, anybody can do it.
It is.
So I really appreciate you taking the time to come in and just share some of your experience with it. Now, what's the next book going to be?
Oh man, you know what?
What's the next one going to be?
That is a great question because when I wrote this book, I was thinking about all forums. So I think I'm gonna go continue in that sales arena. Now it's the non-selling seller. Next it'll be the non-negotiating negotiator.
Oh,
next
great.
It'll be the managing manager. So
that negotiating book, I want a copy of that.
That's what we need. I'm glad we met each other.
No, when it comes out, I want to see it.
No, I may need you to contribute.
Whatever you need, man. I'm on board. What you've done here is fantastic. And if we have universities in this town that have business classes that touch on sales, I think every single one of them needs to make it mandatory reading. And I don't say that lightly. I've been in business long enough to know when you got something here, you got something others need to know, and you should sing it from the rooftops. And we're going to do our part to help do that.
I appreciate it. You know, I promise you, I'm blown away. I just wanted to help people.
Well, I think you've come up to something. You have something here, and I think others need to see it. Thank you for your time, and great to hear about your daughter and her dreams following it.
Yeah.
And you are a shining light to your kids for sure. So, Mr. Derrick, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
I can't wait for that negotiating book, and I'm willing to
it's coming. We got
put it out there for you.
I appreciate it. I thank you so much.
And have a great one.
You too.
Thank you for taking the time to watch or listen to this podcast. We really appreciate your involvement. Please leave us a comment, or even better yet, subscribe to this podcast and hit that notification bell so that you can be alerted for every new episode when it hits.